Welcome to the Counselling Tutor Podcast, the must-listen-to podcast for students of counselling and psychotherapy. Here are your hosts, Rory Lees-Oakes and Ken Kelly.
Welcome to a special edition of the Counselling Tutor Podcast that we run through academic breaks.
Yeah.
And this is a super duper podcast, mainly because we've got an interview with Kate Mahoney, who's head of professional standards at the National Counselling Society. So we thank Kate for doing this and our friends at the National Counselling Society. And it's really interesting. So much information there, Ken.
There is. And the reason I'm clapping and whistling over here is because I love our special editions. It's where we get to kind of go away from our regular format and to do something special and to bring some special guests on. And today, really, really informative, looking at the ethical body, NCS, National Counselling Society. And the interesting thing here, Rory, is that this is not you asking some questions. We got together with the National Counselling Society, some of their representatives a little while back, and we had a chat, kind of set up that we might like to ask some questions. And then you went, Rory, and went to our Facebook group and asked our members to bring in those questions.
Absolutely. And if you're wondering where our Facebook group is and what the flipping heck we're talking about, then if you type in Counselling Tutor into Facebook, click return, and what will happen is you will see our Facebook group. You click onto that. We're a closed group, but knock on the door. We're friendly folk. We'll let you in, and you join 22,000 like-minded people. There's counsellors, there's supervisors, there's students, there's educators of counselling. It's a real kind of smorgasbord of people interested in counselling, and it's a very supportive group. And we asked the questions there. We put it to the group, and you came back with your questions, and we asked them on your behalf.
Indeed. And this is what I think what makes Counselling Tutor is that you have a voice in Counselling Tutor. It is your questions that are asked. And, you know, when we talk about ethical bodies, you have choice. And in order to be able to make a choice, you need to know what information is out there. And that's why we thought that speaking to the National Counselling Society was a good idea. Great questions that have come in. So I guess without any further ado, after this short message, let's get straight into that interview.
Take the stress out of your counselling studies and get the support of Rory and I by joining us in the Counselling Study Resource. See how Counselling Study Resource can help you. Visit counsellingtutor.com. That's counsellingtutor.com.
So we welcome Kate Mahoney, who's head of professional standards from the National Counselling Society. Very welcome, Kate.
Thanks, Rory. Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. And the first question that our audience asked was, when was the NCS founded? So
the NCS was set up in 1999 by a group of people, including counsellors, psychotherapists, hypnotherapists and psychologists, and making our 20th anniversary this year, which we're really proud of.
20 years. Wow. That's a cause for celebration, isn't it? Is it
certainly is.
What month's that? Is that going to be nearer, beginning of the year or middle of the year? What month would you be celebrating that?
I think we might celebrate it all year. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, well, there we go. Let the celebrations begin now. So, one of the other questions that was asked, I'll have to get some party poppers or something, was who are the NCS? Who are you?
So we're a non-for-profit professional association, and we support counselling across the board. So counsellors in specific, which includes students, people working in private practice, or counsellors that work for professional organisations. And we also support those who offer training, which would include CPD, continued professional development. And in addition to that, we also work with a number of charities and partners. For example, we work with Anxiety UK and Mates in Mind. And that type of work helps us grow our reputation, and it also helps us provide opportunities for our members.
Sounds like a really wide scope you have. Qualified colleagues, student colleagues, working with charitable organisations. And I guess you'll be working with legislation formers as well, which we'll look at later in the interview.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to that, which might be interesting for your listeners, is that we also have an accredited register programme, which has been going since 2013, and that's administered by the Professional Standards Authority. They're also known as the PSA, and they report into Parliament. So, it's proper stuff, and we meet their robust and exacting standards, which is really all about the emphasis for public safety, making sure that the best interests are for the clients that use the service as well as our counsellors.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's something that comes up a lot, the accredited register and being accredited on the register. And you run that as well. So you're recognised as an accrediting body in terms of the PSA. And
absolutely.
And I presume there's a complaints procedure, and the same with as it would be with other ethical bodies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess a lot of people would ask the question, why should I join?
So I think with the NCS, I think it's a lot about choice, but it's also about the ethos of the society. The NCS, we really care about our members, as well as making sure that high level of professionalism is retained. We really do focus on keeping the compassion and empathy that we believe really constitutes the ethos of counselling in general. So more than just holding that register, the NCS is very member-led, and we are so on all key areas of policy. We're always open to suggestions and advice from our members. So really it is, instead of being the top-down approach, we aim to involve and encourage and work with all our members. And we believe that this is a really appropriate way of running our organisation. We've got a number of benefits. So again, another reason to join is that we've got a whole heap of tangible benefits, which includes no fees for upgrading membership. We do discounts on insurance once you're a member. Membership also sort of opens up that possibility of getting discounts on books and courses. And with regards to students specifically, what might be really interesting for your student listeners is that as part of their membership, we have a directory of supervisors who offer reduced fees for students in training. We do something very similar for people who undertake personal counselling as part of their training. So we offer preferential fees there, directory of professionals that offer that. And we have full access to the members area of the website, so good practice guidance, other useful information such as CPD courses and workshops. And what's really important for some of our members, from our student members, is a placement listings page, which we're continually adding to. So you can see there's quite a lot there on offer.
Yeah, there is a lot on offer. And I guess if anybody's was asking the question, well, what will they do for me? You've answered that and more. And yes, and very importantly, the placement page, because those are at a premium. And one of the things I particularly like about the NCS website is it's really plain speaking. There's a lot of information on there that is just really easy to access, really fast to access. And I'm getting a real theme that it seems like a grassroots organisation. It's bottom up as opposed to top down. Would that be a fair summary?
Yeah, I think it would.
So I guess people may be asking the question now, well, how much does it cost to join? What's the fee structure?
So our fee structure is fairly straightforward. As quite rightly you said, we try to make things as straightforward as possible and as user-friendly as we can. And our membership fee currently is £100 per year. This is the same for all of our membership levels. But the great thing with that is we don't charge any upgrade fees. In addition to that, when you first join, there's also a £40 joining fee, unless, of course, you're on an NCS recognised course, in which case we waiver that joining fee.
Wow. So if there's any courses that are NCS recognised, and I know that you've got relationships with some awarding bodies, I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah, we've got some really great relationships with training providers, And there are awarding bodies there that work with our training providers as well. So there's lots of information on the website about that.
Yeah, and we'll put all that information in the show notes and a link to the website so people can browse and have a look and see the detail. One of the many grumbles that qualified counsellors have, and this is echoed in our Facebook page, is after years of training and continuous learning and CPD and all the fees and supervision and own personal therapy, I could go on and on and on. Counsellors are expected to work for free. I wonder if this is true. I wonder what your take on that is.
It's a good question. It's a good point to raise. So you're right that there is there's a lot of talk around that sort of stuff. And you'll be glad to know that the NCS do not agree that qualified counsellors should be expected to work for free. And as such, we do not advertise unpaid positions for qualified counsellors. We only for trainee placements, and this gives opportunities for trainees who are doing their studies to gain their supervised practice hours. And should qualified counsellors want to volunteer their time? Of course, it's their choice. But just to reiterate, we do not advertise such positions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something to your credit, to be honest, or the organisation's credit, because when people qualify, there should be a sense, I think, that at least there should be some employment and not perpetrating this idea that counsellors work for free. Certainly, where I am in the north of England, there seems to be a lot of work around. I know it's variable in different regions, but it's good to know that you're kind of championing the qualified counsellor getting paid work. So important because it costs a fortune to train, doesn't it?
But it's well worth it.
It is well worth it. It is. I think that's a really, really good point. We're going to come on to a really interesting question about EMDR and the block on training by registered providers if you're NCS. This is an interesting and rather controversial idea, isn't it? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the background and how the NCS is working with that?
Well, to be fair, there's quite a quick answer to that now, in that we are pleased to confirm that EMDR training is now offered by the EMDR Centre in London to NCS members. And there is information again on our website about this. So the student membership body, people can have a look and read about that.
One of the many kind of soundings that happens when you speak to any selection of counsellors in any venue or for any length of time is sometimes counsellors think that ethical bodies, not just the NCS, I have to say, but ethical bodies in general, are a little bit more interested in being of service to the client or the general public, and not to counsellors. There's a sense that really they're there just to protect the public and not for the counsellors. I wonder what your take on that particular grumble might be.
Well, thank you for asking this question, because it is, it's a really important concern that people may have. And I'm glad to say, of course, dealing with concerns and complaints is one of the most important aspects of the service that we provide to the public and that we take very seriously. But we pride ourselves on the fact that we ensure that particular process is robust and that all parties are fairly supported throughout. So, hopefully that will be a good news story to your readers with regards to how the NCS deals with things like that. And when you say about supporting the counselling profession, because we believe that the members are a source of our expertise and we are very member-led, we're continuously supporting and consulting with our membership on really important matters that revolve around stuff like that. So, we're very open to making sure that we are very fair and very supportive of both counsellors, clients in that way. Yeah,
it sounds like you're listening to your membership as well as having a duty to the general public, because obviously as an ethical body there is a distinct duty to the general public. But it does sound like you listen to the members and want to treat them on any complaint in a fair and balanced way.
Absolutely.
Another kind of grumble, and one that's been echoed because of press reports of schools employing mental health professionals and other organisations employing mental health professionals and not specifically counsellors. There seems to be an abundance of counsellors. And the question was asked, what are the NCS doing to lobby those who make policy decisions, maybe in government, to try and get more counsellors employed?
So we really are involved in quite a lot of areas to do with that. So we're continually being really proactive to make sure we're part of regular meetings with relevant bodies that respond to government policies. So, for example, the all-party parliamentary groups, coalitions, and we have a lot of involvement with individual MPs as and when necessary. So we're doing this to make sure that as many people as possible are aware of the thousands of qualified counsellors that are out there that are on accredited registers, who are experienced and really well placed to support the public health on a wider scale. To sort of give an example of this, we have shared a joint report that the Royal Society of Public Health and Professional Standards Authority put out about untapped resources, and that sort of highlights the work that we do. We've also sponsored the all-party parliamentary group report with regards to mental health in childhood. So we really are getting involved in all that stuff and being really proactive about it.
Yeah, what I'm getting from that is definitely the proactive side, but also having a voice to policy and decision makers about counsellors' role in mental health and specifically the work of counselling.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that confuses everybody, and I have to say it has confused me, is accreditation. There seems to be a lot of questions asked on a regular basis. What is accreditation? How do you get accredited? And I guess the best known accreditation, or one that people talk about, is the BACP accreditation, another ethical body. So if you're a member of the NCS and you want to become accredited, what is the application process, and is it the same as the BACP, which would be 450 hours of clinical work and the completion of a portfolio?
So the accreditation process is fairly straightforward, we're glad to say. It's rigorous in its standards and the requirements that we ask for as well, you would hope. There's lots of information again on our website, and I'm really glad that, obviously, as you mentioned before, you're going to put some information out to support this podcast. So that's great, thank you. But once you're qualified and you've met all the criteria to be on the accredited register with the NCS, the progression through to accredited professional status can be achieved through our upgrade process. And again, there's a lot of information about what's required for that. So we've put comprehensive details of those requirements on our Become a Member section of the website. So it's really useful for people to have a read through that and get a good flavour of how that is. And they'll see some sort of fairly familiar requirements there. And as with any other registrant level of membership, we're not only requiring people to meet those standards and those requirements, but also it's really important that they abide by the Code of Ethics, that they're fully insured, engaging in regular supervision, and making sure that they're completing their regular and appropriate CPD.
Absolutely. I mean, I think accreditation is about keeping your skills and your practice up to date. And, you mentioned CPD in there and regular continual professional development, just so important for practitioners and part.
Absolutely.
Would you say that that's a very important part of the accreditation process? Being accredited?
It's, as I say, each of the requirements has its equal standing, but it's one of those things that, like other professional bodies, it's very important as part of that ongoing counsellor journey.
Well, absolutely. And I guess there's one final question, which I'm sure as we come to the end of the interview, people might be running around in their head. And that is, why should people join the NCS above all the other options out there?
Well, Rory, it really is a matter of choice. We think it's really important that as an organisation that having a choice is the most important thing. And in accrediting our register of counsellors, the PSA have applied the same sort of set of standards as they do to other relevant organisations that hold accredited registers. So, in turn, this means that the professionals and the members of the public seeking counsellors are assured that the standards are high and there is safe practice going on. So by joining the NCS, because of this, you can be assured that you'll be part of a professional association that really does promote quality within the field of counselling, ensuring high standards within the profession, just like the other relevant organisations. But we'd hope that you'd join us for our ethos and the fact that, as I said before, we're member-led, and we believe that the more of us there are together, the larger the voice we have within the profession.
Well, I think on that clarion call, Kate, and it really is a clarion call, isn't it? Strength in numbers, the more we are, the bigger our voice, the more we get heard. Thank you so much for taking the time to record the podcast and be our guest today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you as always, Rory, and a big thanks to Kate Mahoney. That was really enlightening. It really was. I learned a lot from that. And there is a super duper handout that Rory has created on ethics, and you can get that by going and having a look at today's show notes page. So it is a special episode. The way you find it is you go to Counselling Tutor. That is our website, Counselling Tutor, 2 L's in counselling, because we're based in the UK, and click on the podcasts tab. You'll find that in the very top menu, and just scroll down until you see the episode on National Counselling Society. It'll be marked as a special edition. Click on that. The interview is there. You can recap on that. All the links that have been mentioned today are there, including a link into the National Counselling Society website, so you can go and take a look and do some more in-depth searching yourself there. And of course, you can get Rory's super duper handout free of charge from that page. So it's really worth going and visiting that page.
Yes, and just like to say again, to give our thanks to our friends at the NCS,
yes,
and in particular Kate Mahoney, who gave us some of her valuable time and a fantastic interview. And I'm left with just the thought that we have a choice, and that's the wonderful thing about the world of counselling and psychotherapy. As do clients, so do practitioners. We have a choice, and it's a choice that sits best with you. You make your own mind up, but it is a really, really good interview, and thanks again. And as always, stay grounded and stay safe.
Take care.
Take the stress out of your counselling studies and get the support of Rory and I by joining us in the Counselling Study Resource. Counselling Study Resource, or CSR for short, is the world's most comprehensive assignment guidance and study support resource for students just like you of counselling and psychotherapy. See how Counselling Study Resource can help you. Visit counsellingtutor.com. That's counsellingtutor.com.
Thank you for listening to the Counselling Tutor podcast. Find the show notes for this episode on our website at www.counsellingtutor.com.